Today's topic, Trump has been banned from Twitter. It's been a big topic of conversation. A few people have asked me about it.
Twitter, Facebook, Parler,
Yes.
ironically TikTok,
Yeah.
because he was trying to ban TikTok. TikTok banned him.
It's just wild, right?
This is great.
And everyone asks me my thoughts. I saw a lot of people were kind of celebrating this, and I'm against it. Not because I care to hear what Trump has to say for the most part. I just don't think it sets a good precedent when, one, platforms that don't seem to very coherently apply their rules start banning people arbitrarily, and two, when you're talking about still the sitting president, you know, whether you like it or not, once you are banning leaders from the mediums in which they most effectively communicate with the masses, you have a huge problem. Imagine if they just arbitrarily start banning other presidents with whom their policies they don't agree, whether it's some country in Africa or some country in this. It becomes a tool for regime changes. It becomes a tool for control, which is why, personally, I believe it was Zimbabwe or Uganda. I can't remember which country, but they just outright banned Twitter. And that's why you're seeing actually a lot of European leaders against this ban, because it sets a terrible precedent that they could just arbitrarily choose. I don't like that. And then also, what is up with these platforms all coordinating at the same time? Like, he says something on one platform, but you ban him from all platforms. How's that happening? Are they all colluding together? This whole idea that these are just like private companies, I just don't agree with. Because of the fact that most of our speech is now happening through these social media platforms, the way that we communicate with each other, the way that elected officials communicate with us, we can't just look at them as separate entities that don't have a huge impact in public discourse. They are the public discourse platforms. You know what I'm saying? When you ban them, you're essentially neutering our access to democratically elected officials disseminating information to us. And then when you consider the fact that, you know, you ban Trump, but then you have like literally terrorist organizations who have their Twitter accounts and all this stuff still set up. The president of fucking Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, who's ordering hit jobs on people. You know, you have all this stuff that's still allowed on so many of these platforms, and you're just like, how does this make sense? And we deal with it on YouTube.
It's a popular thing.
What?
It's really just what is popular. We don't hear about this person doing that, but we hear about Trump, and
Right.
Trump is a real thing. So they're gonna do the popular thing. It's like whenever I travel and I go to the States, when you travel and you go to the States, I've always feel nervous because the person at the border can actually refuse you the access to the country based on nothing. Man, yeah, not today. It happened to my friends. They were not going to work in the States. They didn't have a past. They didn't have any record, and they were denied. Why? Man, not today.
Okay.
And it's just, there's like, because it makes me think of that. There's not a rule that like,
Right.
there's not a rule, and it doesn't make it right. I understand what you're saying. Like, I actually agree with what you're saying. But it's like they function in the same way that they're doing. And I understand the precedent with that. Like, you're right. I agree. I agree. It just makes me think of that. It's not a justification. It's just, it makes me think of how they're doing that without gray area and without being very precise on the shit. You know what I mean? And it's really just a popular thing. It's the thing. They're not, if they're colluding or all, you know
They're
what?
100% colluding. You can't ban everything at the same time and then think there's not some collusion aspect to it.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
And if these people have monopolies on how we engage our inability to talk to each other, but they're banning some forms of speeches, we have a problem. That's too much control given to people who we did not elect.
Fair.
Right? That's why we have antitrust, like anti-monopoly laws in some situations
Yeah,
where we try to
absolutely.
fight those, right? We
Absolutely.
understand that one thing cornering the entire market is bad. Is
yeah.
bad for the people.
Absolutely.
This is no different.
I
Right?
agree.
So, and people are like, yeah, Trump said this. I'm not disagreeing that there's things that he should be brought up on. My whole point is, one, the rules are not clear, which then makes it so that this treatment always is going to seem unfair. Two, if you justify this and you're okay with this kind of arbitrary decision, which we can't really justify 150%, what happens when it's an elected official that you like later on? Right? You've already set the precedent before.
It's the same MO.
Right.
It's the same MO. It's just the same MO in the other side of the spectrum. So they really acted the same way. But that person's going to be banned. You have to understand that. And then again, I'm pressing the fact that it ain't got nothing to do with what we're saying right now. Has nothing to do with what he says, and what Abba is saying right now has nothing. We're not agreeing with what he said. We're not saying that he said something that were true or whatever. But it does set a a precedent for other presidents to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be banned.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And that's why so many elected officials, even all across Europe, from the super liberal kind to the right wing kind, are really against this. They don't like the idea of their voices being neutered by companies that don't like. Imagine if an American company decided which African countries get to communicate to their people.
Ford.
Do you dig what I'm
Imagine
saying?
Ford has that power.
It's crazy. It kind of worries me when I see people celebrating his ban. I understand he's despicable to you guys and you don't like him. We can agree. But you also have to understand the ends don't always justify the means. And this is one of those situations where I'm like, ooh. And we deal with this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right? Like one time I had a video I posted up online. It literally had the same thumbnail and the same video content as a bigger channel. Mine got removed for breaking the rules. Theirs is monetized and they're making money off it. I'm like, so I hit up YouTube and they're like, we can't explain why. And I'm like, this causes problems.
Same thing with Facebook. You really want to know what I think about it?
Yeah.
I did not care. At first, I didn't care. I don't really care as much right now. But I'm looking at it as they have the right they have the right to ban who they want if you cross the rules. One problem I have, I really roll my eyes because the rules are so much gray area sometimes, and that's any platform that you deal with. It's not so much just the platform that he got banned. I'm not necessarily going to talk about him, but I got to talk about the broader aspect first. If you deal with a platform like that and you agree to the terms and conditions and the agreement, whatever, is very broad, is very gray area. At the end of the day, they can very much do what they want. Okay? It's at their discretion. Second thing is, there's a lot of people that commented on the fact that it infringes your liberty to express yourself. If you lie that can be actually verified, and you have some kind of power, if you got some kind of power, some kind of influence, of course, there is some responsibility that goes with that. If you decide to lie and people buy it, and you're able to control or direct people like that in a way that can hurt people or can actually go against the amendments, because he did a coup, basically, whatever. If you do that, yeah, of course, people are gonna take you out and try to not let you talk. There's liberty of expression. You could say things until it hurts people. You know what I mean? Until you're spreading lies, until you're spreading misinformation. So they just really try to control that. So I understand that other side. I understand one side and I understand the other when you're saying that it infringes that. But when you give yourself to a platform, that platform, at the end of the day, the one that has control is the platform. When we put that content on the platform, yes, it's our channel, but it's not really our channel. At the end of the day, it's the platform's channel. Oh, look, I bought a new house. It's the bank's house. And then when you're finishing off paying your house, and if you don't pay your taxes, the city's going to do something about that house. So it's not really your property if it's on a platform or on, you know what I mean? To me, that's what it is. So at the end of the day, they could do that. Whether it's lawful or unlawful, you subject yourself to that, unfortunately. Maybe I'm a bit too much because I saw this coming or something like that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's when you think you own something, you have a sense of ownership because you could change the colors, you could post pictures, you could do this, you could talk, and it's your name on it. It's not really yours. It's not. It's still the platform. You have to remember that you are on the platform. Oh, look, we're on vacation. Everything is nice. I feel on top of the world. You're in Dubai. They own you. If you fuck up and you don't abide by their rules, you're gonna have to answer someone. If you bring drugs to some, I was about to say country. I don't want to be bad for every country, but if you infringe some laws of some country, they own you. It's a bit that's a platform to me, but whatever.
I want people to think these things through and understand what they mean, because what you're accepting today will, I promise you, it'll be used against you in the future. Depending on where the pendulum swings. And I really do feel like all of these big social media platforms, I do think there should be some government involvement in them, because I do not like the way speech is being regulated.
I wouldn't be surprised that that would happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But maybe that's my problem. The fact that I've accepted that a long ass time. That's my problem.
Yeah.
That's my problem. And I know, like, it because the way I deal with stuff, I'm like, I feel powerless, but I've been feeling powerless a long ass time ago. So maybe, like, it took its toll on me. So whenever this thing happened to Trump, I was like, man, what you gonna do? Yeah, it's that we deal. I saw it coming because we deal with that. Because all the people that are on these platforms are dealing with that.
Yeah.
With that gray area, that pool of uncertainty and unclarity, we are always, whenever we do this content, and that's why, sometimes the YouTubers and the people on YouTube and the influencers, all that, we get annoying. We try not to do that, but we get annoying with subscribe. That's the only thing that we got. We are so much in murky waters. And we always have a threat, especially when we do commentary. We're living on the edge. We're always on the edge of something happening to our channel. It's always a gray area. Every time he uploads, I'm like,
yeah, we get dinged for random stuff.
Trying to see what we get dinged for. And sometimes you put out stuff and I'm like,
yeah, it makes no sense.
Guess what? Remember how many times you told me,
how is this monetized?
But then guess what got monetized? And I'm like,
bro,
I'm done trying to understand it.
Bro.
We're in murky waters. So that's the reason why we're annoying with the subscribe or share or this, because that's the only thing that we got. Because all of this could be gone tomorrow. So at least that's my little something for me. Because all of this could be gone tomorrow. Yeah. No lie.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm operating on that very basis. I don't trust the platform, so I'm not even touching the money I make from this. I just throw it in my bank account and leave it, because I'm expecting rainy days personally. But yeah, what you're seeing, this is just with a private YouTube channel that we run, that we do for you guys, and that, like, is our source of income. When you're talking about your elected officials not being able to communicate with you guys, we're getting to a whole new level of problems. So I don't like it. I think it's a very bad precedent, and I hope you guys understand why we're saying there's not an endorsement of Trump. There's not that. It's just I'm for people's ability to speak, and I don't think that means that all speech is protected, because we always have limitations. But I do think in this case, this was really weird, and you should be very worried about the fact that they're all colluding together to make these bans happen. The idea that you can get banned from every platform for saying something on one platform is nuts to me. It's like, I didn't even violate your terms of service, and you still banned me. Because of who I am? Is that what we're doing now?
That's what we're doing now.
Based off what political leanings I have?
That's what
who I endorse?
That's what we're doing now.
It's crazy, man. So, I'm just not a fan. And the idea that, like, they ban some people on the platform from doing some things, but not others, is just crazy. Like, what do you guys think?
Yo. Me quiero mi morena. Yo quiero mi morena. Tan rico que se ve. Mi morena. Mira cómo mueve. Mira mi morena. Mira cómo goza. Mira mi morena. Mira cómo toma mi morena. Tan rico que se ve. Mira mi morena. Mira cómo mueve.